Yo, what's up, peoples? Welcome to the opening line. Corey and Benny coming at you as we count down the kickoff in 2019 season. Get some good stuff started. What up, Benny?
I don't know. This could be a rough show. I just finished my Red Bull, and we haven't even started yet. So we'll see how this one goes.
No, yes. Last night, the fantasy executive tide went on, as they say. I want to give a shout out to all the Goonies starting to check in. I see y'all popping up in the comments and stuff like that. So we're going to try to get a live stream going at some point, but right now we just got to, 3 new sites just came up, so we need the tech people to get with us on that once they get all the bugs worked out of the 3 new sites, you know what I'm saying? And you'd be able to go live hopefully before the season starts and get that interaction popping. But definitely appreciation and shout out. I see all the Goonies starting to check in, all the homies. So shout out to y'all. Benny, today I'm going to talk a little of rookies as we get ready for the upcoming season, because you've seen the past couple years, right? Zeke, Saquon, Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, you know what I'm saying? Like, rookies have taken on a bigger role, particularly in the running game. We've seen a couple in the passing game, but rookies can be helpful for the fantasy football season. But one thing I think about this year is I think we're going after a lot of the wrong guys.
If by wrong guys you mean everybody drafting the rookie tight ends and wide receivers, then I think you're kind of right.
That's a good place to start. And I want to start in New England and kill Harry. Do I have to go through the list of wide receivers drafted by the New England Patriots who've been failures for the last decade? Aaron Dobson, Malcolm Mitchell, Josh Boyce. The program, Benny, does not develop wide receivers. The last wide receiver to be drafted by the New England Patriots and actually make a Pro Bowl or be a good player was Julian Edelman in 2009.
Yeah, that was going to be my guess, to be honest with you. I think what people really need to understand with the Patriots, first off, not even that, other than a Randy Moss, how many outside Patriot receivers have really put up big numbers to begin with? You know what I'm saying? They're a team that throws a lot of the balls between the hashes, throws a lot of the balls out of the backfield to running backs or short, quick, easy passes to tight ends. Throwing on the outside to your wide receivers is not really what they do. Now, again, when they had Randy Moss, it's a different story because he's Randy Moss. You know what I mean? A rookie is not going to get that kind of treatment from Belichick and Brady, who may not trust him to begin with. So I kind of agree with you. And honestly, I'm not even convinced that he's going to be, the every down wide receiver out there either. I mean, they're going to have 3 or 4 guys, not that they have great names there, but Dontrell Inman, Philip Dorsett, these are guys that are at least NFL wide receivers. You know what I mean? They've been in the NFL for a while. See, my thing, what I started with here, Corey, with the wide receivers and tight ends, you don't get very many wide receivers that step in the league and have big fantasy relevant seasons right out the gate, because a lot of them don't even get the playing time to start from day one.
Yep.
Ones who do are usually the ones that are special, like the Mike Evans, the guys that you're the can't miss prospects. Tight ends never really do well in their first season, to be honest.
I mean, you're talking about Jeremy Shockey. You're talking about some of the greats, and guys like Jeremy Shockey, Jason Witten. But for the most part, you're right, Benny. Tight ends get off to slow starts too. Eric Ebron's still getting off to a slow start.
Other than the touchdowns last year. But you know what I'm saying is these guys historically have proven, to be more missed than hit. So really, if you're taking chances, it doesn't make sense to me. I'd rather take a chance on a second or third year guy at either one of those positions, wide receiver or tight end, somebody who didn't have a really good first or second year in the league, but may now be starting to understand what is needed to succeed at the position and, is stepping into the role that he could actually be a productive player for the first time. So for me, when you start talking about these rookies to begin with, I don't have any interest really in any of the guys playing wide receiver or tight end. And it has less to do with the talent that they have and more to do with the fact that they're just not going to get the opportunity to really put up big numbers this year.
No doubt. And especially in the case of Harry and Kill Harry, that system is very difficult. That playbook is hard to grasp. We've seen future Hall of Famers, Andre Johnson and Reggie Wayne, go to New England and flat out give up. I'm out. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So Chad Johnson, you know what I mean? Demaryius Thomas won't make the team more than likely this year. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So to think that N'Keal Harry is going to come out and have be one of Tom Brady's weapons this year, I think it's a mistake. Mm-hmm. It's better for Dynasty. For a 12-team redraft, it's a bad idea. Mm-hmm. Another thing about Harry is he's already shown in the mini camps that he's already struggling with getting the playbook down. So I would temper my expectation. His ADP, he's going higher than guys like Geronimo Allison. Don't do that.
Like you said, it makes no sense. And Allison is one of those guys. I mean, again, he got hurt last year, but he was a guy that's now coming into like his third or fourth year in the league, understands what it takes to be an NFL wide receiver, has made some plays already. Putting a full season of what he's done in small sample sizes together, Geronimo Allison could be a top 20 wide receiver.
Yeah, he was trending in that direction before he got hurt last year. And his injury really led to Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams would have had a big season anyway, but Devontae Adams really blew the top off of that. If I'm not mistaken, Devontae Adams finished at 1-1 at wide receiver last year. So there goes that right there.
He made Marquez Valdez-Scantling a thing, though. He definitely had something to say about that. If he would have stayed healthy, you wouldn't really know who MVS is right now.
What was it? Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Equanimous St. Brown.
Yeah, I remember the first time I looked at that when I was like, I got to see who the wide receiver. We were doing a live stream. I was like, I got to see who the wide receivers are. Now that Allison's out. And I looked at both of those names, and I'm like, I'll just wait for somebody else. I'm not going to get into that.
Josh Jacobs, running back, Oakland Raiders. Also, he's going ahead of Mark Ingram in drafts. Let's come on, people.
I wouldn't do that, but everything that I just said about wide receivers and tight ends doesn't really apply to quarterbacks and running backs, though.
True.
We've seen quarterbacks and running backs come in and put up big numbers. Now, you mentioned two guys in the opening of this segment with Zeke and, Saquon Barkley. I don't think we have one of those guys this year. I'm not expecting Josh Jacobs to lead the league in rushing, but there are guys, and not just Jacobs, like there are other rookies too who have a chance to put up numbers. And, just look back to last year with Phillip Lindsay. This time last year, nobody outside of the Denver Bronco fans knew who Phillip Lindsay was. This year, we're talking about Phillip Lindsay as a top 25 drafted back coming off a 1,000-yard season and, having some big games. Now there's talk that he might even start getting some more passing down work. So, Phillip Lindsay is now a legitimate fantasy football option. There's going to be a couple of those other guys that are behind Jacobs. To me, Jacobs is number one on the list because he's the only one we know for sure is going to get the bulk of the carries just because of the lack of other guys there. So,
and I agree with you on the fact that he is a starter.
Yes.
I worry about game script because Oakland is always going to be in negative game script. So he's not going to have fourth quarters to close games out and grind teams down. Mm-hmm. As far as the passing game is concerned, do you think Antonio Brown, sitting on $20 million a year, wanting to show up Ben Roethlisberger, is going to sit around idly while Derek Carr pepper Josh Jacobs with targets? No.
Nope.
Josh Jacobs, temper your expectations on Josh Jacobs is the way I would go, Ben.
Let me ask you this question because I read something recently and wasn't really sure how to take it. I mean, it didn't really change my opinion much, but it's something worth it, interesting to watch, right? So I was looking up stats on Jalen Richard, the guy who's been kind of their receiving back the last couple of years and all that. And the quotes that I saw from Gruden was basically talking about Josh Jacobs as a true 3-down back.
Yeah.
A guy who could play that third down role. And also, I think it was like a RotoWire clip that I was reading where they basically said, we have a feeling that this is really going to hurt Jalen Richard's value. How do you feel about that? Like, is Jalen Richard a guy
that you want Richard more because Carr is comfortable and familiar with Richard?
Right.
At one point last year, Richard had 25% of the targets were going to Jalen Richard. That's why. The familiarity is there. I don't know what Jacob's pass catching ability is, but the familiarity is there. I don't think they just put Jalen Richard off to the side unless this kid is truly special, which I don't think he is. Another thing I'll say about Jacobs, I hate to do it like this, Benny, but outside of Mark Ingram, Alabama has given us trash at running back.
Derrick Henry maybe, right?
I'm not a Derrick Henry guy. But
I'm not either, but I'll say this.
He's not trash.
After the way he finished last season, he's on the fence. Like I don't have a decision on him yet. I'm not going to say he's good, but I'm also not willing to say he's trash because I mean he had some big games at the end of last year. 200 yards rushing to one game, I think. Multiple touchdowns and
as a Tony Dorsett fan, I was not impressed with the 99-yard touchdown run.
Well, for fantasy, the stats looked really, really nice at the end of the day. I'll tell you that.
It's true too. But he's probably on many benches. He disappointed last year. Derrick Henry and Mark Ingram both have moments, and so is Yeldon. But they're not these breakout stars.
Agreed.
The best thing I will say about a rookie running back from Alabama that could have an opportunity, Damian Harris in New England. I would keep an eye on him, especially with Sony Michel and that knee. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Harris can be a guy that can get that goal line work, and some between the tackle works. So he's a player that I would keep an eye on during training camp. But Jacobs, where he's going, Benny, is too high for me.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not – unless you buy into the fact that Gruden's been talking him up as a three-down back and think that he's going to really take that Jalen Richard role, I can't see how he gets there, to be honest with you. So for me, I'll let him be somebody else's headache.
Yep, no doubt. A.J. Brown, wide receiver for the Tennessee Titans. Talented kid, but at Tennessee Titans, when you say wide receiver Tennessee Titans, I become flaccid.
You're not wrong, though. It's a little bit of a graphic. This is, you're not completely wrong here. Again, like if I'm taking a wide receiver, I want a wide receiver and I want like a wide receiver last year on Green Bay, like a rookie wide receiver on Green Bay, where that there's going to be opportunity there and you're going to take them. Even if Brown turns out to be a starter for them, which is like his ceiling, right? Is that he's the starter opposite Corey Davis. It's not like they throw enough to really support. They've never really supported one wide receiver. I mean, Corey Davis is barely supported as a fantasy relevant wide receiver. You're definitely not going to have a second or third guy there. And it's very unlikely that second or third guy is a rookie that they're supporting as well, So I agree with you. I mean, again, it's another one of those situations with wide receivers where they just don't get the volume as rookies that you would need compared to other guys who you could draft at the same position. I just don't see any reason for Brown to be a guy that you're targeting, except for in like the deepest of leagues or like a dynasty league,
dynasty format, stuff like that. And then when you talk dynasty, you got to also remember the wide receivers. When you're talking about wide receivers, and me and Russell Clay talked about this yesterday in the Fantasy Guru Draft Guide. All of those podcasts are up right now. This is one that we discussed yesterday. I'll give you a sneak peek behind the paywall. When you talk dynasty, wide receivers for dynasty, you got to take into consideration who's the quarterback going to be. Marcus Mariota, I saw this on ESPN yesterday, and I actually sat about it. Do you know Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston can both be on different teams next year?
They probably both will be on different teams next year because they're both going to want money, and I'm not sure either organization is going to pay them when neither one of them has – put it this way, you can be a good quarterback, but you don't win with good quarterbacks. You win with great quarterbacks. Like after your rookie deal is up, you're either a great quarterback that they can't let go and they're signing you long-term, or they're probably better off going and looking for that young, cheap rookie guy than being – when you take a mediocre quarterback, like both of those guys are in my opinion, and give them a long-term deal, you're basically just signing up to be mediocre for the length of that deal.
Hey, the thing about it is, both players, when they came out, Winston and Mariota. Winston's the more pro-style quarterback. Mariota's this great athlete. Both have shown flashes. Winston's second year, in the second half of the season, he looked real good. Mm-hmm. Came back in his third year, I think Dirk Cutter messed him up. Mm-hmm. And then he came back last year, had the suspension to start, and never came to fruition. Mariota took the team to the playoffs a couple times. Mm-hmm. But the change in offensive coordinators and the skill position pieces around him haven't been that good. I don't think that both guys are career backups, Benny.
No, I don't either.
Both are in very important seasons for their careers this year.
So what I was saying isn't that they're backups or that they won't be starters. But, when a guy comes off his rookie deal, right, every organization has a decision to make. And the decision is, do we now want to pay him You know, because all these guys want to get paid. They all want money, right? They're not going to go out there and work. If you could sign a quarterback for 3 years and $20 million, I'm sure both of these guys would have a job. But they're going to want bigger money and usually a longer-term deal. So what you're really asking an organization to do when your rookie deal is up is, are you going to make that long-term commitment for me being your quarterback for the next 5 or 6 years?
Yeah.
If you had like Roethlisberger, if you had Rivers, if you had, I guess Eli Manning at, that point when their rookie deals came off and you want them to be your long-term decision, that's when you pay a guy, right?
Yeah.
So both of these organizations are in that situation now where they have to decide, do we want to pay this guy long-term? And the way the league has kind of been going is, if you don't think you have the star that can take you over the hump, yeah, exactly, which I'm not sure either one of those guys are, you get rid of them. And what happens is that guy winds up signing for, like Nick Foles and signing with the Jaguars who need a quarterback and didn't get their franchise quarterback in the draft. You know what I'm saying? So I think that both of these guys are guys who could end up on a team next year, but they're going to do it for less than like a big-time max deal, and they're not probably going to end up on the same team they're on right now for less than like a big-time deal.
Speaking of quarterbacks on rookie deals, if you're Dak Prescott and the Cowboys extend Zeke this year, tell you to wait till next year, do you walk out of training camp? Are you upset, or are you just like, it is what it is?
I think walking out of training camp would completely destroy any chance you have of getting that.
True. You can't do that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially at this point, and especially being the quarterback. We hate to say it. You hate to say it, like running backs, especially a guy like Zeke, is very important. But you can get by without your running back. You can't get by without your quarterback. So
in this situation, I look at it differently, Benny. I would rather have Ezekiel Elliott locked up because
I agree. But what I'm saying is,
I feel like there's quarterbacks that can maybe listen. Everybody knows I'm tough on Dak Prescott. You know what I'm saying? I'm tough on him. He's replacing Tony Romo, so you know what I mean.
Right.
Yeah, it's personal, Benny. You know what I'm saying? So I'm extremely tough on the kid. Don't get me wrong. He's won a division twice, rookie of the year. He's won playoff games. You know what I'm saying? More than Tony Romo. But Benny, the jury's still out for me. You know what I'm saying?
Agree.
Elliott is not. The jury's not out on Ezekiel Elliott. This dude looks like a Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Dak Prescott looks like Donovan McNabb. You know what I'm saying?
And that's what I'm saying is like, I don't think that Dak's sitting out. Dak's sitting out right now. The only thing it would do is hurt his chances of them signing him long term. For him, the best thing to do is go out there and have a good season and then talk about the extension at the end of the year and try to work something out if he wants to stay there. I don't think he has the same clout as Zeke to be able to pull off a holdout right now at this point in the year is kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah, no doubt. I agree with you on that. He does not have that kind of clout. He's going to be upset, pissed off. But listen, go win the Super Bowl, and then we'll talk to you next year. You know what I'm saying?
That's the thing to do.
Ezekiel Elliott is the guy. Now, Dak Prescott is probably not even going to make $1 million this year. So, listen, here's the thing with Dak. If it's not my money, it's Jerry Jones' money. But I don't want Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones fucking up my salary cap. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the big thing, yeah.
You can't give this kid $200 million yet. You can't. No. You just can't do it yet. You can't.
But this goes back to what I was saying with Winston and Mariota too, is it's a big decision that teams have to make when a guy's rookie salary is up, because somebody's going to offer him big money.
Yeah.
And if it's not you, then, you have to decide, is this the kid we want to be our franchise quarterback? And a lot of times it's not that Mariota sucks or Winston sucks or Dak sucks. But if you don't see them as the franchise quarterback that's going to be the face of your franchise for the next 10 years, you don't give them that big second deal, because that second deal is a big investment and means you're tied to that guy usually for 4 to 5 years. You know what I mean?
So I'm looking at Carson Wentz deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Carson Wentz has already been extended.
Yes, because the Eagles look at him as their franchise guy for the future. They wanted to lock him up. They had money on the salary cap that they could give him early to make the deal a little bit less of a cap hit later. And they don't want to get him to the $40 million a year guy. They got him at a little bit of a discount to that.
His base salary for this season, Benny,
Mhm.
$720,000.
Yeah, because they gave him a big bonus.
Yeah, his signing bonus is $7 million. So he's not in the poorhouse, making stretch of the imagination. But no, they've already locked him up, right? I feel like Jameis has been something. I think the Buccaneers may have did something with Jameis already too, though. Now that I think about it,
I don't really know, to be honest. I don't know his contract situation. I thought he was up for free agency after this year.
This is it. This is it, Jameis. Oh boy, you in trouble, buddy. This is it, bro. And he ain't made no. Well, he's made good money.
I was gonna say he made first round pick money. He's not poor, but
his money is wrapped up in his signing bonus.
Yeah,
he has a big number this year though. His salary this year is $20 million.
Now, was he a free agent after last season? Did they franchise him, or was this like a team option that they picked up or something? Does it say that anywhere? That sounds like a lot of money for a guy who was drafted. That sounds like a lot of money to owe a guy in the last year of his rookie deal, $20 million.
It really does, and
they might have franchised him this year, or they might have given him some kind of 1-year tender or something like that. Because that doesn't sound like he's still on a rookie deal.
Yeah, I think they gave him a 1 year, 5th year option. So this would be the 5th year.
Okay, so they had a 5th year option of it.
They opted in for the 5th year.
Yeah,
he's an unrestricted free agent after this season.
Again, he's definitely going to have a starting job somewhere next year. I wasn't saying that he won't be a starter. Yeah. I just don't know if it'll be in Tampa Bay, because now is the time where Tampa Bay, Winston's going to get a 4 or 5 year, $100-something million deal. I don't know if Tampa Bay is going to be the one that wants to give it to him.
And he's not going to hit the $200 million range. No. He won't be a $200 million quarterback.
Unless he signs a 10-year deal, no.
And the same exact contract for Marcus Mariota. Same exact contract.
He's on the 5th year option as well?
Yep, same exact contract.
And again, I don't think Marcus Mariota won't be a starting quarterback next year, but I don't know if it's going to be with Tennessee. Tennessee may decide, we've seen enough of this, we're going to move on. This is not the guy that's going to get us to the promised line.
And there you go right there. Back to these rookies. Contracts are always interesting stuff. Back to these rookies right quick, though. Miles Sanders for the Eagles. I can get behind this, Benny.
I would like to, but I'm not liking what I'm hearing coming out of camp. Coming out of camp, what I'm hearing, I was hoping, or the hope at the beginning of the year was he was going to be better than Jordan Howard, and he was going to be the main guy, with Jordan Howard kind of being his, second in command, knowing that the Eagles do tend to use multiple running backs anyway.
Well, they're going to use a lot of them.
Yeah, now what we're hearing is that it's basically Howard's job, and Sanders has a chance to be the second in command behind him, but it doesn't look like this guy's going to be the bigger part of what already is probably going to be a split backfield.
That's true. And I agree with you on that. My thing with Sanders is this. You can spend a draft pick on him. I wouldn't overpay.
Yes.
But if somebody cuts him, pick him up.
Yes.
Put him on your bench.
Definitely a guy to stash. I'm not going to argue that. Even this year, like Dynasty, definitely, but even this year, he's a guy to stash.
Play the long game with Miles Sanders. David Montgomery. I'm a David Montgomery supporter. Because I think the quarterback is trash. I don't trust Trubisky. I think they want to be a run-based team. And Tariq Cohen is not a running back. You know what I'm saying? Tariq Cohen's a playmaker. David Montgomery is a running back.
Yeah, I think David Montgomery is a guy who I'm going to have a little bit of, although he's starting to move up draft boards, which gets me, I don't know if I really want to spend the pick where he's going. He's going ahead of guys like Austin Eckler and stuff like that right now. And I don't know if I really agree with that, but I do think Montgomery is going to have a role with Chicago. Again, if you look at the way Chicago played, you kind of figure he's going to have more of the Jordan Howard role this year, right? So, again, if you were a Jordan Howard owner last year, what you realize is
he sucks.
Well, yeah, that too. But in games that they were winning last year, there was Jordan Howard games, there was Tariq Cohen games. In lower scoring games, grinded out games that they were winning, Jordan Howard had some big weeks. The other weeks, though, it was Tariq Cohen weeks, and Jordan Howard didn't put up a lot of stuff. So if you're taking David Montgomery, you got to understand that there's going to be some decent games out of him, but you're also going to have some weeks where he has 8 to 10 carries for like 34 yards, and that's all he does.
Yeah. And now you have to worry about this because that's just the nature of the Bears offense.
Mm-hmm.
The dude, Matt Nagy, he's a great offensive mind, a good offensive coordinator. I think the quarterback's in over his head. You know what I'm saying?
Trubisky?
Yeah, I think the quarterback's in over his head. I'm not fully sold on Trubisky. I seen a video of some Bears fans leaving after the loss to the Philadelphia Eagles, a double joint game.
Uh-huh.
Oh, man. They was mad at that kicker, bro. They was mad at that kicker. If that kicker would have been on the streets of Chicago that night, he would have got that ass kicking that Jussie Smollett say he got.
Yeah, that is true. So I want to go back to Trubisky here for a second because I kind of agree with you. I don't think he's the best quarterback overall, but I do really like Nagy and the way that he kind of gets everybody involved in that offense.
Mm-hmm.
I think the problem that the Bears have is they do a good enough job of hiding Trubisky's deficiencies that they could still be a productive offense. But when they run into good teams and good defenses, that's where they get in trouble because he's really not that good.
You know what, Benny? Now that you mentioned that, I know we did this earlier. I know we talked NFC North and stuff like that. Son, the Bears, everybody is like, okay, they're going to win the division and they're a playoff team.
Tough schedule. I remember talking about that when we talked about it. Tough schedule that they have.
They close with the Packers, Cowboys, Chiefs, and Vikings. That's how they close.
Like I said, it's a tough schedule. I remember when we went through it because my original thought was, well, I probably like them to win the division again, and I said over. And then when we went through the games, I was like, this is going to be a tough one. This is not one I want to put money on. You know, remember, when you come in first and win your division, you get a tougher schedule the next year. They wound up getting that tougher schedule. They do not have an easy schedule here this year.
Trips, they go to Los Angeles. They go to Philadelphia.
Not good places for road games to expect to win. You're not going to feel too many road games in those places.
They have a home game versus the Chargers, a home game versus the Saints. This is the Bears. We're going to see what the Bears are made of this year. That NFC North is wide open. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, I would not be surprised. It would not shock me if the Lions snuck in there and won that division at 9-7.
The Lions, I think, were the only team that was even a long shot to win that division, right? Weren't the other three teams all like basically a little over even money? Yeah,
and the Lions are not anything special, but the Lions have a veteran quarterback who has stayed healthy. Remember the knock against Matthew Stafford was that shoulder and he was always going to be hurt? We haven't heard about that shoulder in about 5 years now.
And you know what? Like I don't think he gets enough credit. Like he's a very good quarterback. They locked him up long term. Yeah, he's very good. He's had some, a whole bunch of receivers that came and gone throughout his time there, and he's been productive with all of them. So he's not a bad player. I actually like Matthew Stafford. I hope he does well.
Yeah, I want Matthew Stafford to do good too. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Matthew Stafford. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't like that coach though. What's the fat coach with the beard? Yeah. I don't like Patricia. The team don't like him either. They hate him.
Well, they didn't. I mean, they tried a lot of weird stuff last year that didn't work out for them early in the year. And then, late in the year, they decided we want to be a running team and kind of went away from the passing and all that, which is – it didn't make much sense because, I mean, this is becoming more of a passing league. So to pass less often, and try to pound the run, I mean, good for Kerryon Johnson owners if that's what they're going to do. But didn't really make a lot of sense, and it didn't translate into a lot of wins.
No, it didn't. And Kerryon, I love Kerryon, but I think Kerryon is going to be in a position where he's going to rely on efficiency more than volume. Back to these rookies, Marquise Hollywood Brown, the talent is tremendous, but it's the Baltimore Ravens, son, and they're going to run the football. I was watching some Colin Kaepernick last night.
Uh-huh.
You could see Lamar Jackson bust off some of those 70, 80-yard runs that Colin Kaepernick was busting off. You could see him do some of that this year with some of the weapons they got. But the problem is the passing game is going to be limited.
Yeah, I mean, my thing with Brown is the only place I would consider him is in late rounds of a best ball. And I'll tell you why he gets a little bit of best ball love from me. One of the things about having a running quarterback is, you're basically trying to stretch the field, right? So that this way this guy has room to run. So when Brown's in there, they're going to be sending him long. Yeah. So he's going to catch a couple long bombs and put up again, you catch an 80-yard touchdown pass in PPR, that's 1 point for the reception, 8 points for the yard, 6 points for the touchdown. 15 points is not bad to get from somebody in
play.
Yeah, all in one play. The other thing about Brown is he's supposed to be returning kicks and punts.
And that's what I was going to mention, Benny. If you play him, when you get points for that, he could be a difference maker on special teams. But as a wide receiver, I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't think he'll get the volume. I mean, he's going to get, in my opinion, he gets maybe 50 passes thrown his way this year, which is like 3 or 4 a game. He'll have a game or two where he catches a long one for a touchdown, but I don't think he has like consistent high floor or even really massive upside. He's not going to get double-digit targets,
No doubt. Kyler Murray.
I have no problem with Kyler Murray. I think that – listen.
And Cliff Kingsbury, let me see it. You know what I'm saying? You're going to bring the Oklahoma air raid to the NFL. Understand that when you're in Oklahoma and you're doing that air raid offense, those wide receivers are wide open. They ain't going to be wide open in the NFL.
I don't disagree with you at all, and I have no idea how well that will translate, but I know they're going to try. It's like the old thing when, I don't know how many of these bouncers it's going to take to kick my ass, but I know they're going to use them all. So, yeah. So one way or another, it's probably not going to work out well. But, again, I don't know if this offense will translate, but I know they're going to try, which means that he's going to get rushing attempts. He's probably going to be airing the ball out, especially because I expect them to probably be down in a lot of these games. He's going to be airing it out 30, 40 times a game. So when you look at it, I mean, here's the way I'll say this. In a one-quarterback league, to me, he's on the fringe and probably somebody who you can make a case should be towards the back end of QB1, but he's definitely a QB2 without a doubt. In 2 quarterbacks leagues, this guy is definitely on somebody's team.
Yeah. The thing about it is, don't draft him over other guys, though. Like, he's going in Superflex leagues, he's going ahead of Dak Prescott. I wouldn't go that far because Dak Prescott has 18 rushing touchdowns. Yeah, 18 rushing touchdowns in 3 years. Dak Prescott runs the football in the end zone, and he don't make mistakes. I'm seeing Murray going ahead of Prescott and some other later round quarterbacks in Superflex. I would take those players over Murray.
I don't know. I mean, I would take Murray because I think that there's the chance. There's the chance that
I see what you're saying, the upside.
Yeah, there's a chance that he becomes a Mahomes. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, not to that extent.
Yeah.
Maybe a Mahomes light, but still, there's a chance that he has a lot of yards rushing and can put up a bunch of touchdowns and a bunch of yards due to the system and the way that they're going to try and the fact that they're going to handle – I mean, listen, they had a franchise quarterback and went and took this kid anyway. So they're going to put him out there on the field. He's going to be out there in week 1, if not by week 3 at the latest, and they're going to run this offense and see what they can do with it. So
go ahead.
I was just going to say, he's going to get the opportunity. With a lot of these other guys that their ceiling is their best they can do is maybe back end of the top 10. There's a chance that this kid could be a top 5 or top 6 quarterback. Do I think it's likely? No, but there's at least a chance, and that's why I don't mind taking him ahead of some of those guys.
And Superflex, Murray or Josh Allen? I go Josh Allen.
I like Josh Allen proved enough to me with his running that I'd be willing to go there.
Murray or our boy Ryan Fitzmagic?
Oh, definitely Murray. It's not even close to me there.
I'm going Fitzmagic, Benny.
I'll definitely go Murray. That's not even close to me.
We're getting the band back together.
I'm a big Fitz guy too, so don't get me wrong. I got Fitzmagic on a bunch of leagues.
I understand the upside. You know what Fitz is. Fitz is going to get benched at some point, while Murray's going to have the keys.
Exactly.
Sam Darnold or Murray?
Murray, and I'm a Jets fan.
I would go Murray too. Adam Gase scares me.
Adam Gase scares me shitless at this point.
Lamar Jackson or Murray?
Lamar Jackson.
I go Lamar Jackson also. Andy Dalton or Murray?
See, Dalton's a perfect example of why I would go Murray, because Dalton's the guy that what his upside is.
Yeah, you know what you're going to get with Andy Dalton. I wonder what Andy Dalton contract is.
Andy Dalton's either going to be – I think he makes a ton of money. If I'm not mistaken,
I'm sure he does.
Andy Dalton, to me, is one of those guys that is exactly the person I was talking about. He's not great, but even if he is great, it's probably only like a back-end QB1. Whereas Murray has a higher ceiling. Even if Murray's not as good as Dalton, Dalton's upside is not Murray's upside.
6-year, $96 million contract.
So $16 million a year, that's pretty good. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, so just about that too with the signing bonuses. Yeah, this season right here, he'll make $16 million. He does not have a signing bonus this year, though, but he has a $16 million contract for this year.
He's doing a lot.
$17 million next year.
Yeah, he's doing a lot better than I am, so more power to him.
Really tied into this guy.
Yeah, well, they gave him the extension, and then the last couple of years it's kind of fallen apart. But didn't he take them to the playoffs like his third or fourth year in the league anyway?
Taking to the playoffs, just but his first couple seasons he was taking to the playoffs. Make people come in there, sit in that cold ass stadium, and then they lose to the. Remember they lost that game to the Steelers in that 2016. Yeah, that'd have been January 2017. They lost that game to the Steelers when they had the Steelers beat, and then they started Vontaze Burfict.
Oh yeah.
Pac-Man Jones and all of that shit was going on. Yep. Yeah, that game right there. They had that game won.
I think
even before that, they had a game. They played a game at home too, and they lost.
I think that's around the time they gave him the extension. And this is what I'm talking about with the Winstons and the Mariotas of the world is, after his rookie deal was up and they went to the playoffs a bunch of times and they won the division and all that stuff, they tied him up for like another 4 or 5 years at $15, $20 million a year. And what's happened to the Cincinnati Bengals since then? You know what I mean? Like, if you have that superstar guy, that guy you lock up. When you have one of these guys like Joe Flacco or like
don't do that, Joe Flacco, Benny. Don't do that.
But again, he fits the same bill. It's like he won at one point. They gave him a big long-term deal to tie it up for him. You can't tie up mediocre quarterbacks long-term. You can't tie yourself to a mediocre quarterback long-term. And that's what I think the problem with Mariota and Winston's going to be after this season.
Andy Dalton is 31 years old.
God bless him. And he's making $17 million a year. We're sitting here talking trash about him, but Andy Dalton's got the life, man. I'm not going to argue.
Shout out to Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle. Finally,
soul because he's a ginger, so that's the problem.
There you go. Finally, Benny. Deebo Samuels. I'm taking a late round flyer on Deebo Samuels.
I have been taking late round flyers on Deebo Samuels. Deebo Samuels may end up as the number 1 wide receiver in San Francisco.
I think that could very well be the case. Don't forget about Dante Pettis out there also. And Marquise Goodwin, whatever the F your name is, and all the hype. Jake Seeley and these guys, you know what I'm saying? They talked me into Ventura, Seeley, Jim Day, all of them. They talked me into Marquise Goodwin last year, son of a gun, you know what I'm saying?
Marquise Goodwin or Deshaun Jackson? I don't even think this is close to me, to be honest. I'm surprised that it's taking a minute.
I'm factoring ADP because Goodwin, after tricking everybody last year, has dropped all the way off draft boards. Oh, man.
Let's just say production. Production-wise, who's the more productive of the two?
The safe bet would be Deshaun Jackson.
Okay, now let me ask you this. How much Deshaun Jackson are you drafting this year?
None.
So if you don't like Deshaun Jackson and you think he's better than Marcus Goodwin, and again, I 100% agree with what you're saying. I have zero interest in Goodwin. What Goodwin does to me, he's a speedster that you can send down the field to try to stretch the defense. His best case scenario is he catches 2 long bombs in one game. The chances of that happening are probably less than 5%. It'll probably happen less than one time during the year. To me, there is zero reason to draft that guy.
Yeah. If when I go to the 49ers, I'm going for Coleman. I'm going for Deebo. And, that's – where are you at on Jimmy Garoppolo? Are you like Ventura with Italian Stallion? He's going to be my quarterback?
No, not at all. I am of the mindset that he is somewhere around quarterback 10 to 15.
Okay.
So, again, you know my thoughts on quarterback. If I'm playing in a 1-quarterback league, I'm waiting until round 14 or 15 to draft one. So he's probably not going to be there. But if he was there around that time, I would definitely be considering him at that point. Let me ask you about a guy that you didn't mention.
Right quick, Garoppolo or Cousins?
Cousins. It's not even close to me.
I agree.
So, any interest in Jerick McKinnon?
I think you have to because of the nature of Kyle Shanahan's offense.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's a good spot for fantasy. And if McKinnon gets a hand on it, then he can do some good things with it. I think Coleman has the lead on it right now, but I would have shares of Jerick McKinnon this year. Not a lot, but I will have some.
Without an injury with that backfield with Breda, McKinnon, and Coleman, is McKinnon fantasy relevant without an injury? Meaning without an injury to one of those other two guys, is he fantasy relevant or is he 7 to 9 touches?
I think he's a dude that you could put in your lineup during the bye weeks and cross your fingers.
Right. So, I mean, maybe like as a backup or something like that. But really, if you're drafting Jerick McKinnon, I agree. I think Tevin Coleman's got the inside track. So, really what you're hoping for is that injury. If you get that injury, this is a guy that could step up and be an RB1 because we've seen him do that when he's been given an opportunity before.
I probably shouldn't tell this story, but I'm going to.
I love when you start a story that way.
This couple of seasons ago, I had a real good fantasy. It's a team that won $10,000. And Devontae Freeman was on the team. And Freeman and Coleman was split. This is the year the Falcons went to the Super Bowl.
Right.
Freeman and Coleman was splitting carries a little bit too much for my liking. And I had a friend of mine worked in the hotel where the Falcons stay at. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So I remember when one night the Falcons checked into the hotel or whatever, and son, think Michael Jordan flu game. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I was like, yo, do you think you can get the people in the cafeteria to maybe? And she was like, what? I was like, no.
That's funny.
So my sick, twisted mind was like,
If you ever do pull that off, though, definitely let me know because I want a lot of money on whatever the other team is.
A poison Tevin Coleman, you know what I'm saying?
Please do it to the Patriots when they come into town. That would make.
That's not a bad idea.
I'd be twice as happy. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go, right there. All right, Bree, let's get to some baseball before we get up out of here.
You know, honestly, I did. I'm doing a night slate tonight. Scott's doing the early slate, split in half. There's about 8 games here. I don't really have much that I love here in terms of betting on a lot of stuff. You know, Cleveland, Toronto, I think that game has a good chance to go under because I like both Bieber and Stroman. So I'm looking at the under a little bit in that one. Probably my favorite bet is the Pirates, and I hate betting on the Pirates. I also hate betting against the Pirates.
Some money burners, Benny. They're money burners.
On both sides. Like, they win games they're not supposed to, and they lose games that they are supposed to. You got Jordan Lyles going up against Adam Wainwright, so it's not even like the pitching matchup is all that good. I just really don't trust Wainwright. I just don't believe in him.
He's washed.
He's had a couple good games this year, and then he does what he did last game, and he gets lit up for like 7 or 8 runs in like 3 or 4 innings, you know? So it's like just when you think, okay, I'm not going to say he's usable, but like in fantasy, it's like, all right, that's a guy I don't want to pick on. And then all of a sudden he becomes a guy you want to pick on again. So I like the bats in Pittsburgh a little more than I like the bats in St. Louis. So the Pirates at minus 104 right now is literally about the only bet I like today, though, Corey. That's the only thing. Like, there's other teams I think are going to win, but at like minus 190, minus 240.
Yeah, the Astros are minus 215.
Yeah, I don't want to mess with that stuff.
I agree with you on that. I just saw something interesting, though.
I like the Nationals, but they don't even have that game up on DraftKings. Did I have it up on FanDuel, the Nationals?
Yeah, they do.
Is it minus 200?
Minus 138 on FanDuel.
That's a great bet. Minus 138. I'll take the Nationals. Corbin going up against Freeland. Freeland's got an ERA like over 7 this year. He's horrible.
They don't have Corbin as the listed pitcher, though.
Oh, that sucks. Who's the listed pitcher?
This is John Gray versus Feed.
No, it was supposed to be Corbin and Freeland. They may have a doubleheader. We'll have to look at that.
Yeah, maybe that's what the case is.
Yeah, I'll have to double check on that. All right.
That game I'm talking about, Benny, is a 105 start.
Which one?
The Nationals and Rockies is a 105 start.
Oh, no, so they do have a doubleheader because they also have a 7 o'clock game tonight, too.
That 7 o'clock game has not been posted.
All right, so maybe that's why I couldn't find it. The 7 o'clock game, I like the Nationals a lot, but if they're like minus 180, minus 200, you can't take them. If they're minus 160 or below, then I think there's a little bit of value there because I like Corbin a lot against that Colorado team. And Freeland, who's pitching the nightcap for Colorado, he just pretty much sucks.
Let me ask you about this, Benny. Shane Bieber and Marcus Stroman, Blue Jays and Indians. Stroman is probably a guy is probably auditioning for a playoff team.
Yep.
in this start tonight, does that factor into this game anyway?
Well, like I said, I like Bieber and Stroman. I like both of these pitchers, so I think that this is a game that goes towards the under. I don't think either one of these.
Just the under. You don't even worry about the winner. Okay.
Yeah, the problem is they're both pretty good, and like the offense is like when you start looking at the bats on either side, this feels like it's going to be a 3-2 game or a 2-1 game. So you don't really want to be on one team or the other in a low-scoring game. You really want to like just bet the under if that's the way you think it's going to be. If you don't know which way. So that's the way I'm looking at it.
Hey, Benny, that under on FanDuel is minus 102. You're almost getting even money on that.
The Cleveland-Toronto one?
Yeah.
Minus 102 at what, 9?
Under 8.5.
Oh, see, they have it at 8.5. I think they have it at 9 on DraftKings. It's like a minus 120 something.
Okay.
Is it 8? Yeah, 8. Even at 8.5 though, I'd probably still be on the under in that one. Especially at even money. I'd bet even money. I'd take that. That's a good bet.
Big piece of chicken. I am going to give it to the homie, the king, Scott Engel. I had a good long talk with Scott Engel yesterday. It was good to hear from him. So shout out to the king, Scott Engel. He gets the big piece of chicken. Scotty's out there doing his thing for Roto Baller, and he's got a couple of weekend shows on Sirius XM, and he's also doing some stuff for a company called Win Daily. So shout out to the king, Scott Engel. Good talking to him yesterday, Benny. He said to tell you hello.
Oh yeah, I love the king. He's the man. I'm gonna give mine to the Kung Fu Panda though, Pablo Sandoval.
Where did he come from?
Well, Evan Longoria went down right after he hit the home run that I called like 2 weeks ago on the show. Like the next day or the day after that, he went on the DL, and Kung Fu Panda has come up, and he's actually been hitting well. They put him third in that order, and he's been part of the reason why this resurgence has happened. But the reason I give him the big piece of chicken last night, Corey, I hopped on the San Francisco Giants in game. Tommy was on the Giants huge yesterday in the betting package, so I'm sure a lot of our subs were on the Giants as well. That game wound up going to extra innings. So when Tommy said hit it in game in like the 4th or 5th inning, I was like, what the hell? So I threw some money on it. So when I have money on a game, I got to see how it ends.
No doubt.
I was up there for and again, it's a West Coast game, San Francisco, so it's like 10th inning, it's 12:30 at night. 11th inning is 12:45 at night. It had to be about 1 o'clock Eastern time when Pablo Sandoval hit that home run. So thank you to the Kung Fu Panda for finally allowing me to go get some sleep last night.
There you go, my man, the Kung Fu Panda. You have broken many hearts over the years, but you came through for Benny last night. For my main man, Benny, is Corey Parson, the fantasy executive, the opening line. We are out.